Most people want to get further ahead, and most people gauge that they're not as far ahead as they want to be, as far ahead as they want to be in their career or in their relationships or in their health or in some other measurement. And what happens is we make assumptions, and whatever your assumption about why you're not further ahead, it's probably wrong because most people are wrong about this. When people think about, okay, why am I not further ahead? They usually place blame, and they place blame in two places. It could be that they place blame with others. It's others' fault. Someone's being unfair. They're not giving me a break. They're not giving me opportunity. So and so didn't step up. They're either blaming other people or they're blaming themselves, and they're just going into beat up mode, beating themselves up for, I'm just not persistent enough. I'm not disciplined enough. I'm not sticking with it. I'm really not engaging. I'm not committed to my plan. Either way, these are actually both very disempowering ways to think about why you're not where you think you want to be or where you want to be. Because if you are stuck with it's other people's fault, then guess what? You have no power. You have just sucked all the life out of the room, all the air out of the room, all the power out of the room, all the power out of you. And you've stopped yourself from being able to think creatively about, well, what could you do potentially to engage people's or enlist other people's support? You know, when your brain goes into blame mode, it's not in creative problem solving mode. The other assumption that you might be making is just blaming yourself and saying it's just because I never follow through on anything. I never stick with anything. And you're really, really hard on yourself. And you know what? When you're done beating yourself up, and then you are hoping that you're going to have some creative inspiration or problem solving so that you can get yourself out of that hole, it's not going to happen. You just put yourself in a hole, and where else can you go? You just sucked the power again away from yourself. And so neither one of these assumptions, it's other people's fault or it's really all my fault, neither of these assumptions will help you to get where you want to go. And here's the other thing. Neither of these assumptions are typically true, because what's most true about most often about why we aren't where we want to be or as far as we want to get, the main reason tends to be you don't have a plan. And you might say, well, no, I had that plan. I had the career growth plan. I had the weight loss plan. I just didn't follow through, or I didn't get the help that I needed. Well, I'd want to dig deeper and I'd want to take a look at the plan. And I'd want to know, does the plan have the components that it would need to have to assist you in getting the support you need, to assist you in staying on track, to help you to actually get closer to where you want to be? And so let's take a look at what some of those things are. What needs to go into a good solid plan so that you can get some traction towards those goals and you can move forward sooner rather than later? Let's take each of the four big pieces. Let's look at them one by one. First, people don't tend to reach their goals because there's an actual problem with their goals. Either their goals aren't their own goals at all, or their goals are the wrong size goals. That first piece, that their goals are actually not their own, is a big one because, as the saying goes, just because you can doesn't mean you should. There's so many things you could do, but what is it that you should be doing? For a lot of college graduates, that's a big question. And some know exactly where they want to go, but a lot of them say, I don't really know where to go career-wise. And so it's true that you want to seek outside counsel, and it's true that you want to get examples and see what other people are doing. It's just that you want to be sure that you don't violate that. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. You want to really think, what is it that you want to do? What's the direction that you should be going? And a great equation for being sure that you are on a path that is a solid path for you, not a great path for someone else, not a great path for your roommate, not a great path for your parent, not a great path for your boss and the path that they're on, but the great path for you is, to what extent does it play to your strengths? Some of those great strengths that you've got, strengths that you actually enjoy using. To what extent does it play to your strengths? Plus your interests. Is it an area of interest to you? Is this a place where when push comes to shove and you're tired because you didn't sleep so well, but you have an interest in this area, you have a natural interest in this area? Look at your interests, look at your strengths, look at your interests, and then look at the need. Is there a need for this? Is this an area where the need will continue and the need will grow? Is this, in other words, we all solve problems. It's what we do. And are there enough problems out there that what you are thinking about doing in terms of your goals and your interests, that there's going to be enough need out there that you can solve those problems, whether those problems have to do with the field of health or the field of technology or the legal field or the creative fields. Those are needs as well. People have needs for aesthetics as well as other perhaps more basic types of needs, business needs, financial needs. So strengths, interests, needs. Careful on the strengths piece, because just because we say, is it an area of strength for you, it doesn't have to be an area of perfection for you. You'd get bored very fast if you're working on something that you've already reached the pinnacle. So is it an area of strength that you can continue to grow, an interest you can continue to pursue, as well as a need you can meet? The second issue with people and the goals that they choose is they're typically too small. The famous wisdom about goals and goal setting is that people overestimate what they can get done in a day, but underestimate what they can get done in a lifetime. So we tend to get very short term and short focused on our goals. And we don't think about what is that big picture? What is that larger thing that I want to achieve? You don't necessarily have to think about that lifetime goal. You should be thinking about that at some point. But even just for this exercise is for you to think about, okay, so what's a goal that I have? And rather than being vague and small about it, like I want to get in better shape, or I want to lose a little weight, or I want to make some more money. Let's get specific about it and say, I want to get in the best shape of my life. And it specifically means this and this and this. Or I want to lose X amount of pounds over 2 years. Instead of just set a month goal or a 2 month goal, let's look further out. Let's set some of those larger goals and then look at, all right, so if this is a 2 year goal for me, then what needs to happen? And let me backtrack. Where do I need to be a year from now in order to reach that 2 year goal? So what does that mean? Where do I need to be 6 months from now? So what are some of the things that I need to be doing this quarter, this month, this week? You're going to reverse engineer backwards. That way, you make sure you're not just keeping your mind on the small stuff and reaching those smaller goals that over time will add up. I'm going to say, sequentially, but if you have that larger goal in mind, you do some backtracking from there, but you have that big goal, you're more likely to get creative. You're more likely because you're inspired and your mind is open to thinking, okay, so what are the opportunities? What are the possibilities? Oh, who's a person to meet? Oh, what's a door to walk through that could potentially ultimately get you there? Secondly, people don't tend to be as far along as they want to be in their career, in their health, in their life, their relationships, their finances, because they're not as self-aware as they need to be. Self-awareness is critical. You can be really good at something if you've got talent, but you're never going to be great because greatness demands stretch. Greatness demands pushing yourself. In order to really know where you need to stretch, you need to be more self-aware. I coach leaders and I coach sales teams, and it's really easy for them to come into work with me with a sense of, okay, I've got to prove how good I am. I've got to prove that I know what I'm doing, instead of really being open to ways of how they may be holding themselves back. It's the hardest things to become aware of the things that are making them good, being aware of the things that make you good, but not great. And you don't just want to be good, because good isn't going to get you to those big, audacious goals that you want to achieve. Great. You being great is going to get you to those. And so what you want to do is you want to run towards self-awareness, and you want to frame self-awareness for yourself as a really good thing. Here's 4 steps to increase your self-awareness. Number 1, look for ways to be better. Actively look for ways to be better. Ask people, ask your trusted peers, ask your boss, ask a trusted customer. Ask people, how could I improve? Here's my goal. Here's where I want to be. Or just, what is your feedback? How could I be better at what I do? How could I be further along the way? Write it down. Get very clear on the ways to improve. And then take each of those things and tackle off one a month or one a week. And what I mean is, don't just practice it once in the month or in the week. Put together a plan for this week. How am I going to work on that thing. For example, when I work with sales teams about asking better questions of the customer, some of those questioning habits, old habits die hard. And so they make themselves a plan of, okay, so here's some of the things I want to, here's some of the phrases I use continually that don't work for me. Here's some I want to use instead. And they make a plan so that this week, by the end of this week, by the end of next week, I'm going to have practiced this amount of time. And I'm going to be saying this less. I'm going to be saying this more. So you're going to get very specific and tactical about this. And make a plan. Make a plan for yourself. Number one was look for ways to be better. Number two, write it down. Number three, take 1 week, one action a week, or one practice a month. Practice it during all of that time. And then really, number four, recalibrate your plan for continued awareness and continued action. Go on to the next thing, go on to the next thing. Three, a huge reason why people do not reach their goals and they're not as far along as they want to be is because they don't take consistent action. This is one of the hardest things for people. And I could have just said they don't take action, but that's not really the point. It's the consistent action. Most people can take action once. Most people can take action twice. But the consistent action, when you're used to a habit, when you're used to a way of executing, a way of operating that doesn't include that habit, sticking with that habit can be challenging. This is why so many people, statistically speaking, sign up for a gym on January 2nd. And by the second Friday in January, which is officially dubbed Quitter's Day, that's why so many people quit. And they're paying for that gym, but they're not going to that gym because they went a couple of times and they were enthused, but they didn't stick with it. So you want to really sit down. You don't want to choose 25 goals because you'll never do them. You want to choose something that is meaningful to you. If you are thinking, I'm not as far ahead as I want to be, you prioritize what is the area that I want to grow in, whether it's my health, whether it's my career, and then think, okay, so this is the area I want to grow in. I don't want to be one of those quitters at any time of the year, let alone on the second Friday of January. And so what's my 4-step plan? Here's my 4-step plan. Number one, big goals, bite-sized actions. Big goals, bite-sized actions. So maybe it's just starting in the month of January and saying, I'm not going to go to the gym 4 days a week, not even 3. I'm going to go 2 days a week for 35 minutes. I mean, bite-sized to start, bite-sized to start. Number two, write those actions down. Be sure you're very, very clear. Third, schedule those actions and schedule them ahead of time. And then you've got your schedule, hold up your calendar. Here it is. You scheduled that. That's what you're doing. That is how I get myself to the gym, is I have a fixed gym schedule. Otherwise, I'm not going to be going. I have a fixed schedule. I have a class I go to. I have a trainer that's waiting. It's a fixed schedule, and I'll be letting people down if I don't show up. And then the fourth piece you want to think about is habit stacking. Habit stacking. So I already have this habit. How can I add that habit? I forget to take my vitamins. I'm going to take my vitamins when I brush my teeth. That's habit stacking. I always automatically brush my teeth. Now I take the vitamins at the same time. For me, I needed to kick the habit of using the snooze. So I did some habit stacking, and I'd already grown the habit of reading each day for at least 30 minutes, reading a book and increasing my learning and my knowledge and my growth. And so I added to that, did that in the morning, and I added to that the not hitting the snooze alarm. So I had one habit and I added another habit to it. So make it easy for yourself to take that consistent action with big goals and bite-sized actions. You write those actions down, you put them on your schedule, and you look for opportunities to habit stack. Fourth, such an important reason that people don't reach their goals or aren't as far along as they want to be, and that's because they don't have support. Rome was not built in a day, as they say, nor was it built by one person. If you're trying to build a Rome, which I hope you are, I hope you're trying to build something that is meaningful to you in your career, in your life. I hope you have big goals. I hope you've got something that you really want to create in your life. And if you do, then you want to get support. And there's 6 different types of support that you want to consider. I'm going to give you the list. Write this list down and ask yourself, what from this list do I need to work on next? And I want you to choose one. If you're serious about this, I want you to choose 1 or 2 of these different types of support. One type of support is advisors. Who do you need advice from? People like to be asked for advice. People feel respected when they're asked for advice. So, who do you need to ask for advice from that could really help you as you move towards your goals? Secondly, you need advocates. You need people, especially if you're going for a promotion at work or if you're going for just increased exposure or success at work, you need to know that there are people who are speaking for you. So think about, who are the people at work or in my professional sphere that I would like to foster into not just colleagues or not just peers or not just my boss, but people who want to go to bat for me. What do I need to do to increase that relationship, invest in that relationship so they're willing to advocate for me? The third, what about partners in terms of official partners? It may be time to say, you know what, I'm not going to do this thing by myself. I'm going to get in, I'm going to bring in an actual equal partner so that we both are working on this together. It's so helpful to go the road with someone else. Now, if you don't want to go the partner route, fourth, it might just be a collaborator, might be an affiliate, might be someone you say, we have our own enterprises or we are doing our own thing within the organization, but we're going to cross collaborate on a particular project and it's going to advance both of what we're doing. Fifth, just having fellow journeyers, people who are on this journey that you're on. This is why we have professional associations, and for you to go to your professional association meetings and meet with people who are doing something similar to you. So you've got that support. There's the brainstorming of ideas, and the rising tide lifts all boats. And then the sixth area of support, you just need a cheerleader. You need someone on the sidelines who's maybe not doing what you're doing, but they are just cheering you on along the way. They might not understand the specific goals you have or the specific work you're doing, but they believe in you and they are supporting you and they're cheering you on. And if you have not galvanized those people in your life, maybe they're in your personal life, they may be in your professional life, then it's time to shake the trees a little bit and get the support. And of course, you're going to be the support for other people as well. So you're building teaming opportunities as you do this. If you're asking yourself, why am I not farther along? Why am I not closer to the goals? Why haven't I reached my goals? I want you to think about, number one, look at those goals. Are they the right goals for you? And are they big enough for you? Secondly, increase your self-awareness. What is it that you could potentially do differently or better? And the more senior you are, the more important that question is, because those are questions that we more naturally ask early on in our career. But what if you're fairly senior, but not as senior as you want to be? What is it that's holding you back? Is it it's the situation, it's other people, or it's something wrong with me? No, it's, how about a plan? Let's dig and find some awareness of what's something that I could do different to empower myself that could help me to break through. The third is consistent action. And then the fourth is get that support. You put this plan together and you support yourself in this way, putting these things in the schedule, getting that support that you need, and you are well on your way to breaking through your barriers and getting further along your journey of reaching your goals and being, quote, as far along as you want to be.